Welcome back, Wolfpack. Villas here. We're taking a trip from Kalos to Hoenn and we're bringing Furfrou with us. So Furfrou, it gets some interesting moves. We get Zen Headbutt, Last Resort for coverage when we get our Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire tutors. And we also get Hyper Voice. Now, since Furfrou isn't a special attacker, doesn't really mean too much, but these are the main ones that Furfrou gets as a tutor. Now, when we're building Furfrou, it's a very interesting Pokemon because of the Fur Coat ability. The defense is doubled, which means that sometimes we don't really have to invest into the defense. Every point of defense, however, is going to go for a double. So now we're looking at a potential of over 400 defense, while we also max out the hit points. But then we're also dealing with a lot of things that could go against us. That Furfrou has low sustain, Furfrou has not the greatest move pool, and not the greatest offenses. So, you might have to just sacrifice the huge defensive bulk, go for the attack, and some people try to turn Furfrou into an all-out attacker. That if you go and endure like a physical hit, Rocky Helmet is going to deal 6 of their hit points back to them, and then you can try to clean them up with Return, Sucker Punch, and now Last Resort as a potential. They can just pretty much run like Sucker Punch Last Resort. And actually that could be one of the new little gimmick sets for Furfrou that we might see. That Sucker Punch, at least that's going to give you priority, not going to worry about your speed too much, and then with Last Resort, it's going to be a huge amount of stab damage, and then with your Adamant Nature, that might be a KO right there. The Sucker Punch into Last Resort with a Rocky Helmet proc could be enough damage to KO a lot of opponents. But it is Furfrou. It is the super duper defensive tank Pokemon. Some people like to run leftovers. That way at least you have some kind of sustain, protect with that, but then Cotton Guard. Cotton Guard is going to be one of Furfrou's main moves because it boosts your defense by 3. You're doubling your defenses, and then Fur Coat just kind of makes it to where you become unkillable. Actually, you're getting 2.5 times defense. So a little more than doubling on the Cotton Guard, and then you're just getting further doubles from there. So you don't really even need to boost defense. You go into the hit points, go into the attack, or you can go into the special defense and then go for a defensive nature. That way you're trying to still get as much as possible. So with this we're going to want Impish, since we're going to be going for physical attacks or something like that. But then again, we're not really looking at an insane amount of damage potential that you can run Workup. Boost your attack and special attack, but that's only by 1. And then we're still trying to get some sustain back into us. Now, if Furfrou had recover some form of sustain, it'd be a lot easier and a lot more tanky to use. But right now, it's kind of like you have to use your Workup, you have to go for that damage, and then you can try to play it from there. That Sucker Punch at least will be a nice fallback, that you could run just Sucker Punch and Protect. Now that we have Last Resort as an option, that could potentially work. Or you can play the safer option with Return. Now, Return is also going to give you a lot of damage. That's Stab, that's going to boost pretty well, and it's going to be usable at all times. So, if you feel a physical threat coming in, you use Cotton Guard, you can use Workup, and then you hide behind Sucker Punch and Return, and you just try to go from KOs from there. Now, in double battles, you can get Furfrou stacked up pretty hard, and then you can start using, other Pokemon that are using Heal Pulse, things like that. You can Baton Pass. If you Baton Pass any speed, any offenses into Furfrou, that's just going to be able to be like, well, I don't need to worry about too much. I can already be a monstrous defensive tank that, you can run the hit points instead of investment like this. They can do something like this. Now you're going to be huge physically, you're going to have a lot of speed and a lot of extra damage. Now you can just run that Sucker Punch Last Resort, something else like that, and it can work out really well. That, Furfrou is just not going to take damage. That you can put Cotton Guard on the Rocky Helmet set. That way, if they're physical Pokemon, they're just going to beat themselves down on top of you. That, you set up Cotton Guard, they're going to be doing roughly a quarter of your damage or less while taking a 1/6 on every hit, and then you can chip in damage afterwards. So, Furfrou, really interesting Pokemon, very strong potential, can really wall out as a physical Pokemon and give your opponent almost no options, but then you're still susceptible to special defense. Fortunately, since you are a normal type, you don't have to worry about too many super effective hits. It's just that sustain and the lower amount of boosting that you have. That, 80 attack with some boost can turn into something nice, but since you don't have sustain, you don't have any hard boosts like Swords Dance, you don't have a lot of time to do it. So Furfrou does have a hard time finding a niche, but after really working down your Furfrou play, you can make it work in your favor really well. If you guys enjoyed the video, that's how you use Furfrou in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.